Good evening. This is Friday, December 19th, 32 days until the inauguration of President-elect Barack Obama. People have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I am not a crook. I've earned everything I've got. Substitute the word governor for president, and in our fifth story on the countdown, you would pretty much have not what Richard Nixon said 35 years ago last month. Instead, you'd have what Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich said today. Of course, the governor spiced it up with a passage from Rudyard Kipling's famed poem, If, and perhaps all you need to know about Blagojevich is he bailed out of the stanza just before Kipling warned, "Don't look too good nor talk too wise." The Illinois governor making his first official comments this afternoon since having been arrested 10 days ago on federal corruption charges. The governor reciting some Kipling, bashing Meet the Press. Come on, David just started. In doing so, probably bashing by proxy the Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan, who appeared on the program on Sunday. B-Rod denied any criminal wrongdoing and vowed to stay on the job indefinitely, which is kind of, at least at times, how long his statement this afternoon seemed to be going on.
Thank you very much. I'm here to tell you right off the bat that I am not guilty of any criminal wrongdoing, that I intend to stay on the job, and I will fight this thing every step of the way. I will fight, I will fight, I will fight until I take my last breath. I have done nothing wrong. And I'm not going to quit a job that people hired me to do because of false accusations and a political lynch mob. Now, that's what I'm going to do. Let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do what my accusers and political enemies have been doing, and that is talk about this case in 30-second sound bites on Meet the Press or on the TV news. Now, I'm dying to answer these charges. I am dying to show you how innocent I am. And I want to assure everyone who's here and everyone who's listening that I intend to answer every allegation that comes my way. However, I intend to answer them in the appropriate forum in a court of law. And when I do, I am absolutely certain that I will be vindicated. Rudyard Kipling wrote, "If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you and make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating." Now, I know there are some powerful forces arrayed against me. It's kind of lonely right now. But I have on my side the most powerful ally there is, and it's the truth. And besides, I have the personal knowledge that I have not done anything wrong. To the people of Illinois, I ask that they wait and be patient, sit back and take a deep breath, and please reserve judgment. Afford me the same rights that you and your children have. The presumption of innocence, the right to defend yourself, the right to your day in court, the same rights that you would expect for yourselves. And one last thing. To all of those, to those of you who have expressed your support to Patty and me during this difficult time, I'd like to thank you for your thoughts. I'd like to thank you for your prayers. And I'd like to thank you for your good wishes. Patty and I cannot express to you how grateful we are for your kindness. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
William Devane is JFK in the missiles of October, right? Am I right? Time now to call in Chris Cillizza, White House reporter for The Washington Post, also the author of The Fix at WashingtonPost.com. Chris, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
I'm guessing that answered the question of whether or not the governor will be stepping down voluntarily.
Yeah. If there was any doubt, I talked to a lot of Democrats who were privately hoping that he might just get up there and say, you know what, you got me. But knowing Rod Blagojevich, knowing that he's become increasingly isolated over the course of this 5-year now federal investigation, not a lot of them had a lot of hope. He delivered what many people expected, which was a very fierce denial that he had done anything wrong, and basically a long take on the fact that his political enemies had created this situation. A very fascinating, 3 minutes, but a fascinating bit of political theater.
Yeah, probably the best pure speech by a governor since the fellow who quit in Jersey 3 or 4 years ago. But who's he referring to when he talks about his political enemies? And why the reference to the political lynch mob? And the reference to Meet the Press, is this about the prosecutor? Is it about the Attorney General of Illinois? Who does he see?
I mean, at this point, I think he views almost anyone who aren't Rod or Patty Blagojevich as his enemies. Even his chief of staff has resigned. There was a question at the press conference later whether his chief of staff might turn on him and become sort of an informant. But I think that Meet the Press reference was clearly aimed at Lisa Madigan. She's the state attorney general. She's the daughter of Mike Madigan, who, to put it mildly, he and Rod Blagojevich have not gotten along for a long time. And she's the person most likely who is going to challenge him if he wound up seeking a third term. So I think that was a little jab at her. But again, in the end, Rod Blagojevich has done this to himself. It's not Lisa Madigan's fault. She's probably taking advantage of the situation, but I'm not sure you can blame her.
I know that the general assessment of this was people were amazed that he was fairly cool. He sounded Reagan-esque in his delivery of a little bit higher pitch. But I thought I heard a lot of nervous, catching of breath, heavy breathing, and that thrice repeated, I will fight, I will fight, I will fight. It's very tough to repeat a phrase exactly the same way, phonetically 3 times. Never mind the words. What did the tone sound? Did it sound odd to you?
It did, and you know, Keith, I'll go back to the day before this. He was arrested. He appears with workers striking outside a plant, and he's much more breezy. He sort of says, "Let the sunlight shine on me. I have nothing to hide." All you'll hear on those tapes of the wiretap is me using colorful language. He was much more halting today. I caught that same thing, the heavy breathing. He was clearly nervous, and I hate to say it, but there were some sort of Nixonian tendencies there. You know, the whole "I want to tell you the truth." It reminded me of, you know, someone saying, "I want to tell you where that secret treasure is buried. I just can't do it yet."
Lastly, Chris, the national implications here. The Minnesota seat is still empty. We're going to get to that in a moment. The New York Senate seat is still empty. Illinois is not going to get filled anytime soon. When Congress convenes in January, how badly are Democrats going to want to have those actual bodies in those actual seats, and what are the likelihood that, and when are we going to get one from Illinois?
You know, this prolongs the process. The reality is if Rod Blagojevich stays in here in office, the impeachment proceedings are going to have to continue in the state legislature. He can wait to veto the bill, which I'd assume he would do. It then would have to go back to the state legislature. You're looking at a number of openings, including Minnesota, where we're probably not going to have a declared winner when Congress reopens. And remember, Harry Reid and the Democrats want to pass Barack Obama's agenda, especially the economic stimulus, as soon as possible. Keep the momentum he has built, he being Barack Obama, during this transition period. It's going to be harder when they're down 3 or 4 senators, as they inevitably are going to be.
Chris Cillizza of the Washington Post, good enough to come to us here on the Friday before Christmas. Great, thanks. Have a good weekend, a good holiday season.
Keith, for you, anything.
Thank you, sir.